Well, by now, you know why it was called Dark Fate. So yeah, Terminator Dark Fate appears to have sealed forever the ultimate fate of the Terminator franchise, which in a lot of other videos are discussed that it was never meant to be a franchise, and to a certain extent this is true, as James Cameron himself said. As far as he was concerned, the story ended with Terminator 2. And in a lot of ways, that's true. You can see how it finalizes it there, where once they survived, and they changed time by destroying all remnants of the Terminator technology. So there was nothing left, because the point of the story was the paradox in which the original Terminator, the remnants of it, is what led Cyberdyne to figuring out how to create Skynet, and so on and so forth. Then came Terminator 3, which had to come up with a reason to get around that, and just said, well, you only delayed it. Judgment Day is inevitable. And so there you go. And that was the explanation for future movies. No matter what time fixes you could employ there. But a lot of people crapped on Terminator 3. I enjoyed it for what it was, but at the same time, what was the big flaw in it? Well, not just the time travel thing, but the repetition. It was basically the same movie, the same plot over and over again. So this is 3 times you've done this. And so but the ending was, Judgment Day happened at the end of the movie. It happened. So this sets up, what other story was there left to tell? And then this follows up with Salvation, which almost got it. What is the only story left to tell for this franchise? And that's the future war, the war of the machines, And they almost had it, but they pooped the bed with this ridiculous new character they shoehorned in, played by Sam Worthington and all that. When the real story that anyone cared about would have been John Connor's story, the adult John Connor, and you could have, the only story that really mattered there would have been between him and the young Kyle Reese, where you had this bizarre situation where the son is the father and the father the son, so on and so forth. And you could have, with people with vision and ideas, could have made that work. But there's the problem. The ideas and the vision was not there. So it flopped. And then Genesis was just ridiculous. But if you thought that one was bad, don't worry, Genesis. Here comes Dark Fate. And Dark Fate suffers from the same problem that's been going on. I always refer to Ghostbusters, but I guess you could find it elsewhere even before that. But this... people say it's SJW or it's PC and stuff. It is, but a lot more times than not, it's merely used as a shield for lackluster, lazy work. Most of the best work in Hollywood is special effects, sets and props, and the actors can do good performances. And all that, and the special effects could be good. In this case, the special effects were not so great. I was just astounded how bad the CGI was. A lot of it looks like video games, but video games from 10 years ago. And some of this stuff was, like Superman mustache bad. And so that was, it took me aback. I didn't expect it to be that bad. But the overall deal where, Tim Miller was saying the female hero here was going to scare misogynists and all that sort of crap. And it was such a childish statement. He doesn't even believe it himself. But that's the shield. And it does not work. It didn't work for Ghostbusters. You've had time to realize you cannot shame people into seats. That if you don't go see Terminator, it means you hate women, which is absolutely absurd. And also, some people thought that they were deliberately kind of destroying Sarah Connor because Sarah Connor was one of these characters that people could refer to, that all this SJW era of the day is unnecessary because people have already achieved this with female characters. The idea that people are upset that they're seeing powerful women or what have you in films doesn't hold water, because all the favorite franchises of the past, of decades ago, had female heroes and women who stepped up and all this sort of thing. Of course, Sarah Connor, when you watch the Terminator 2, this is a character. The most important thing about it was this was a character who grew. She was the innocent victim in the first film, and then she grows through that and learns, and then she becomes a soldier. But then by the time the Terminator 2 comes along, she's badass and everything, and yet she's wrong. So you see, she's flawed. You can't have flaws in your character. And ultimately, her son has to save her from becoming a Terminator, basically. She's about to murder an innocent man who is innocent. He doesn't know that he's going to create the Terminators in the story. But anyway, and ultimately, he becomes a hero, too, because he sacrifices himself to save the day and all that. So that's the theory embedded within this, third-wave feminist story, which third wave feminism does come across as mostly misandrist with a little bit of misogyny sprinkled throughout, because third wave feminism hates femininity. Go figure. So there's a lot of that symbolism there. The Mackenzie Davis, she only takes clothes from men. And Mackenzie Davis, bless her heart, she tries. She does perform as best she can with what she's got. And a lot of times I was thinking about all these different movies that use feminism as a shield to protect it from any criticism whatsoever. Maybe she should have been Captain Marvel. And the one thing they do get right here is that, yes, she's beating all these men and, soldiers and cops and all that. But they explain it. She has these enhancements. A lot of people will say, hey, she's in great shape. Yeah, but she's still toothpick limbed, and, she would not be able to take on Navy SEALs and all that. But she has, bionics. and the odd thing about it, for the first time in the Terminator franchise, you actually have a real cyborg. The Terminators themselves are not cyborgs. They just have organic flesh on top. That doesn't count for me. The $6 Million Man was more of a cyborg than these guys. And so now Grace is a true cyborg. That's probably the only interesting thing here. But even that is a bit of a ripoff, because kind of sort of the Sam Worthington character from Salvation was the same thing. So it just rehashes all those movies, even the ones that it's supposed to ignore. And there's no real explanation as to how it ignores it, except that you have to acknowledge the Terminator 3 explanation that it's inevitable, because the Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminator here, who is barely in the movie, certainly not enough, who kills John at the beginning, which, that's the coolest thing, because for the CGI, how bad it was for the rest of the movie, it's pretty damn good. I gotta hand it to him on that. It was really good, which just goes to show, wow, that should have been the movie. Was de-aging the original cast and doing another story, but they would screw that up too, because they have no story. So that part is pretty good. But who is this Terminator? Where does he come from? He comes from a future that doesn't exist. How can he exist? They destroyed it all. How could this happen? Oh, well, Judgment Day is inevitable. But then Terminator 3 would have happened, because, it doesn't work. And then the whole thing is that he comes from this future that didn't happen, but obviously it did, because he's there, but then it doesn't, because John is killed, but then that means Skynet wins, but Skynet doesn't exist. Why doesn't Skynet exist? It created this Terminator who announces himself as Cyberdyne, Systems Terminator in the movie. So that's who he's from. Then you got Grace and the new evil Terminator who can split into two and all that. He's from Legion, the new AI that creates all this. That's a problem too, because how could his cease to exist for this one to exist? And then they come in and no. Because they're still using the Terminator 3 theory of it's inevitable. But then what wiped out I guess the third or fourth version of Cyberdyne here. Just whoops, didn't think about that. So it's a franchise that what's the last story to tell? Of course, Salvation almost got there, didn't, and ruined it. That's the only other story to tell. And I guess the time travel explanations could be another one. But that's left up to people to just guess, what time these alternate timelines with the TV series and then the other sequels and all that. It's really bad. So, Mackenzie Davis does her performance as best she can, but ultimately she's wasted here. The actress who plays the ultimate savior of mankind is just ridiculous. A lot of people didn't like her acting. She was adequate enough when she's reacting to the horror of her situation, which is just a repeat of the other films, which is why that's a problem. But she does not come across as believable as someone who's going to be. And the flashback scenes of her saving grace and all that is, oh God, is it bad? It's just not believable. Those criminals would have just killed her easily. It's not believable she's holding all these giant cannon-sized guns in her hands. Is what they look like. It just doesn't work. It's just too stupid. And it's like, why? Why didn't you think this through? Because they can't, I guess. And that's another thing is, are the feminist theories about destroying old characters and whatnot, is that all in there? To a certain extent, but don't give them the credit that they thought it through. Like the one theory was they're trashing Sarah Connor because she was a mother and their motherhood is bad. Because again, femininity is bad, I don't know that they thought it through that much. But Sarah Connor is basically reduced to a joke in this film, and that's really sad to see. That they just did that to that character, which just goes to show you don't like strong women. You don't like strong characters, that have depth, and they do have flaws. They have story. They're human. All that comes towards. Human, becoming human. The Arnold Schwarzenegger thing makes no sense at all. That he become why would he care about Sarah Connor being depressed and lonely? I says, he learns from the family he adopts, which he never would do. He probably would just shut down once his mission was complete. just this body laying there. But that's about it. And it's like he's hurt that Sarah still blames him, and he's guilt-ridden for John. Maybe that he represents Tim Miller. I don't know. But it's pretty stupid. But the whole plot there, Sarah Connor never bothers to investigate who the hell's sending her these text messages to go hunt down Terminators that keep showing up. Maybe it would have been interesting if the other Terminators that she kills are the ones from the other films. They make cameos and she's slaughtering them all. I don't know. But she never bothers to check that out. Never even occurs to her to wonder who that is. It's just so bad. And it's not really convincing. And then they throw in that the woman that he lives with, the Razor's son, their platonic relationship. What the hell is that? And I guess he's not anatomically correct enough it doesn't work. So I'm impotent. I don't know. She's oh damn, oh that's too bad. Yeah, she's got a bodybuilder husband, but oh damn it. I don't know. Just again, you didn't think that through. But was that a message too? I guess maybe. But again, don't think they can think it through. I don't think. So anyway, it's not Ghostbusters. Yes, it is, because Tim Miller himself uses feminism to protect his film. And so if you didn't like this film, you're a misogynist, and that's it, which always reveals you got nothing. It's like Batwoman, all these stupid ads that it's feminism. with lesbianism thrown in. If you don't, you're a misogynist and a homophobe if you don't like the show and all that sort of thing. When the actual pilot, which is the only one I've seen, didn't really have much of that in it. It was just very boring. Here you have this, and you can look for symbols and whatnot, but ultimately it's just a bad rehash of the great Terminator films that we've already seen, and that's it. And they've got nothing, and it's very lackluster, badly put together, and that's it. So that's why it needs that shield, which does not work. Didn't work for Ghostbusters, didn't work for Star Wars. It's not gonna work. You cannot shame people into theaters to watch your crappy movie. You're going to have to actually come up with ideas and work at it. And now that you've run out of franchises that you've destroyed, you might want to think it's going to be hard. Oh, it's so hard. Hard to work, isn't it? Yeah, it is. But there you go. Poor Terminator. I guess they made Sarah and Arnold drink from the blue milk tit as well. I can't say that they destroyed them as badly as Star Wars destroyed Luke Skywalker, but it's still pretty bad. All right, there you go. Terminator Dark Fate. Thank you for watching and listening. Say, why not like and subscribe, and check out that link description below. That'll take you to my many stores that have plenty of goodies for you.